Hello everyone, welcome to Chem.Top. Today I am starting chapter 2 of class 11, that is structure of atom. This is part 1 of this chapter, and in this part we will study about discovery of electron, proton and neutron, and also about the atomic models. Topics covered in this part are discovery of electron, protons and neutrons, discharge tube experiments, atomic models, that is Thomson model and Rutherford model and their limitations, Rutherford's gold foil scattering experiment, then atomic number, atomic masses, isotopes, isobars, isotones and representation of element. So first is discovery of electron, that is discovery of cathode rays. Electron was discovered by Sir J.J. Thomson. William Crookes performed a discharge tube experiment. He took a discharge tube, see in the figure, made up of hard glass and fitted with the two electrodes made up of metal at the both end, and these electrodes are connected with the high voltage source, that is 10,000 voltage, and a vacuum pump is also connected to create less pressure. Now, whenever the source is connected with 10,000 volt battery and the battery is on, then first observation was that under normal pressure, that is 1 atmospheric pressure and 10,000 volt current is applied, nothing is observed in the tube. But when the pressure is reduced to 10 raised to power minus 2 atmosphere, then light is emitted by the gas and the whole tube start glowing with a particular color, and the color of the tube or the light depends upon the nature of the gas which is filled in that tube. Now further, if we reduce the pressure by 10 raised to power minus 4 atmosphere, then this emission of light ceases, but the walls of the discharge tube opposite to anode glow with green fluorescence, and this light is due to some rays which are emerged from the cathode and strike at the backside of anode, and these rays were known as cathode rays, and because they emerge from the negatively charged electrode, so they consist of negative charge particle, and these negative charge particle were named as electrons. These cathode rays are made up of electron, that is negatively charged particle. Now charge on electron. Charge on electron was determined by Millikan's oil drop experiment, and the charge was found to be 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb negative charge. Coulomb is the unit of charge. Now the next is mass of electron. Now by the same Millikan's oil drop experiment, the E by M ratio, that is charge by mass ratio for electron, was found to be 1.67 into 10 raised to power 8 coulomb per gram. Now mass of electron can be found by charge upon charge by mass. So 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 divided by 1.76 into 10 raised to power 8, and it will give you 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 28 gram, or 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. This is the mass of electron. Now this mass is approximately 1 upon 1837 times that of mass of an atom of hydrogen, and you know that hydrogen atom is the lightest atom, so we can see that the mass of electron is 2000 times less than that of hydrogen atom. That is why the mass of electron is considered as negligible. Now we can define electron as a fundamental particle present in an atom which carries 1 unit negative charge. This charge, that is 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb, is considered as 1 unit charge and have negligible mass, that is 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. Now one thing should be noted here, that the value of charge, mass and E by M ratio for electron remains same whatever the nature of the gas is. That is why the electron is regarded as universal particle. Now the next is discovery of proton, that is discovery of anode rays. In 1886, Goldstein modified the discharge tube by using perforated cathode. So now he took a cathode which is perforated, that is it is having holes in it. Now when pressure is reduced up to 10 raised to power minus 4, he observed a new type of luminous rays to passing through the holes of the cathode and produce luminous glow behind the cathode. Now these rays consist of positively charged particles and were named as anode rays or canal rays because they passes through the holes of the cathode. That is why they are called canal rays also. Now how these canal rays originate? Now the common belief is that it may originate from anode, but actually they were not emerged from the anode, but they are actually made up of residual charge particle left when electron knocked out from the gas. For example, A is the gaseous atom. When one electron is removed from it, it is converted into positively charged particle, and these positively charged particle actually move towards the perforated cathode and produce luminance here. Now cathode rays consist of positively charged particles. The value of positive charge on the particle constituting the anode rays depend upon the nature of the gas in the discharge tube. However, it is found to be a whole number multiple of the charge on the electron, but with the positive sign. Now the particle, if the electron, one electron is given out by the atom, then it is equal to the charge on the electron. If two electrons are given, then the positive charge is 2 times that of electron, and if 3 electrons comes out, then the charge is 3 times to that of electron. Now thus the particle constituting anode rays may carry 1 unit, 2 unit or 3 unit charge depending upon the number of electrons knocked out from the gaseous atom. Now the charge by mass ratio, that is E by M ratio, for these positive particles depends upon the nature of the gas enclosed in the discharge tube. Now when hydrogen gas is enclosed, then the value is found to be maximum, that is 9.58 into 10 raised to power minus 4 coulomb per gram, as the mass of the hydrogen is minimum. Now the mass of positively charged particle can be calculated as follows. The charge is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb, and the E by M ratio which we calculate is 9.58 into 10 raised to power 4 coulomb per gram. So the mass is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram, or 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg. Now this mass is same as the mass of hydrogen atom. Thus the positively charged hydrogen atom, means the hydrogen atom from which one electron is knocked out, has the mass equal to 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24, and its charge is 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb positive charge, and this lightest particle is known as proton, that is H plus is called proton. So we can define proton as a fundamental particle in an atom which carries 1 unit positive charge, that is 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb positive charge, and mass equal to 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram. So the mass of positively charged 1 unit or 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram only when the hydrogen gas is present in the discharge tube. For other gases, it was found to be the whole number multiple of this value. So in short, we can say that there are 3 types of fundamental particles present in the atom. First is electron. It is having -1 charge. Its mass is 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. Its symbol is -1 E0. -1 is the charge, 0 is the mass because its mass is taken as negligible. E is the symbol. And its location is outside the nucleus, that is in extranuclear part. Now proton having +1 charge, that is plus 1.602 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb charge, and its mass is 1 U, that is 1.673 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg, and its symbol is 1p1. +1 is the charge and 1 is the mass, and its position is inside the nucleus. Now the third particles are neutron, which we will study further. It is having no charge. Its mass is equal to that of proton, that is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg, or you can say 1 U. Its symbol is 0 and 1. 0 because there is no charge, 1 its mass, and N is the symbol, and its position is again in the nucleus. Now proton and neutrons together known as nucleons, because these are the particles which are present inside the nucleus. Now the next is Thomson's model of the atom. According to Thomson, atom is the sphere of positive charge. See the figure. Atom is the sphere of positive charge in which negative charge are embedded, just like seeds in watermelons or plums in pudding. That is why this model is also known as plum pudding model or watermelon model. The second thing about this model is that he said that the magnitude of positive charge and negative charge are equal, so overall the atom is neutral. Now, limitations of this model is this model did not have any experimental evidence in its support and was therefore rejected. Now the next is Rutherford's model of an atom. Now Rutherford performed a gold foil experiment, and here in 1911 Rutherford took a thin gold foil and he bombarded this gold foil with alpha particles. Now alpha particles are obtained from the source of radioactive element, maybe radium or thorium, which is kept in a lead box. Now there is a slit to produce the fine beam of light. Now alpha particles. Now when alpha particles move from the source, passes through the slit and strike to the gold foil, and there is a circular screen made up of zinc sulfide behind the gold foil, and this is to produce the scintillation produced by the alpha particle. Whenever alpha particle produce the spot of light, these spot of lights are called scintillation. Now whenever the alpha particles bombard the gold foil, the observations were most of the alpha particle goes straight without any deflection. You can see most of the alpha particle goes straight. Now some of the alpha particles were deflected by some angles, like you can see here, this is moved with slight angle, this is again moved by slight angle. Now a very few alpha particle, that is 1 out of 20,000 alpha particle, suffered major deflection more than 90 degree, and they may bounce back after striking to some heavy object. So by these observations Rutherford conclude that as most of the alpha particle goes straight without any deflection, that means most of the part of the atom is hollow. The second observation was that few alpha particles suffered minor deflection and very few suffered major deflection. That is because they strike with the same charged heavy object, that is positively charged object inside the atom, and also because the number of the particle which bounce back or deflected is very less, that is the positive part is concentrated only in the small part of the atom, and it is very heavy as alpha particles that is having 4 unit mass is deflected by striking with it. And it is positively charged as the alpha particle which are positively charged are like feel repulsion with it. So positive repulsion, that means it must be having positive charge. So Rutherford regarded this small, heavy and positively charged portion inside the atom as nucleus. So in this way nucleus was discovered by Rutherford. Now all the positively charged portion and mass of the atom is present in the nucleus, and electrons are present in the extranuclear part, that is around the nucleus. Now Rutherford's model of the atom. By his observation and conclusion, he put forward a model of atom, and the main points of this model are: an atom consists of two parts, nucleus and extranuclear part. Nucleus is present in the center of the atom and is very small, that is having radii 10 to the power minus 15 meter as compared to the size of atom, that is 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Now you can compare it like if the atom is considered as the cricket ground, then the cricket ball kept in between the cricket ground is considered as nucleus. So much difference in the size of the nucleus and that of that atom. Now protons are present in the nucleus. Electrons revolve around the nucleus with high speed in circular path called orbits. And the magnitude of positive and negative charge is equal, so overall atom is neutral. Now this Rutherford model was not successful. So what is the failure or what is the limitation of Rutherford model? According to Rutherford, electron revolve around the nucleus in circular path, you can see in the figure, But because electron is a charged particle and its motion around the nucleus is accelerated motion, and whenever a charged particle undergo accelerated motion, its energy becomes less and less and less, and it will come closer to the nucleus in the spiral path, and ultimately it will fall into the nucleus. That means atom should collapse, but actually it does not happen like this, and we know that atom is quite stable. That means Rutherford, this is the major drawback or limitation of Rutherford's model. Rutherford could not explain this. Now the next is discovery of neutron. Until 1950, an atom was supposed to consist of only two fundamental particles, that is protons and electrons. Since electrons have negligible mass, so the entire mass of the atom was regarded as the mass of protons only. And each proton has a mass of 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram, which is taken as 1 unit mass. Now in 1920, Rutherford found that except for hydrogen atom, the atomic masses of no other element could be explained by the protons and electrons only. For example, helium has 2 protons and 2 electrons. So its mass should be 2 unit because 2 unit protons are there. But actually its mass was found to be 4 units. So to solve this problem, Rutherford predicted the presence of some neutral particle in the nucleus of the atom, which has the mass equal to that of proton but has no charge on it, as atom is overall neutral and electrons or protons are same in magnitude. Now these neutral particles were discovered by Chadwick in 1932 when he bombarded a thin foil of beryllium metal with fast moving alpha particles. So neutron can be defined as the fundamental particle present in an atom which carries a mass of 1.678 into 10 raised to power minus 24 gram and has no charge. So its mass is equal to that of proton, that is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 24, and there is no charge on it, and its position is inside the nucleus along with proton. Now the next term is atomic number. It is designated by capital Z. So how we define atomic number? The number of protons present in the nucleus of an element is called atomic number. Or because we know that in neutral atom the number of protons and number of electrons are same, so we can say that the number of electrons present in a neutral atom. Remember one thing, if you give the definition of atomic number in terms of electrons, then you have to mention that in neutral atom. So the number of electron present in a neutral atom is called atomic number. So atomic number is equal to number of protons. Now the next term is atomic mass or mass number. It is designated as A. The sum of the number of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus is called mass number or atomic mass. So atomic mass is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. Now representation of element. How we represent an element? Element, सबसे पहले आप लिखेंगे symbol. Suppose X is the symbol of the element. Then here we can write the atomic number and below, and above as a superscript we write down the mass number. You can represent it like this. Suppose this is the element and you can write Z here and A here, or you can write Z here and A here. So you can represent it in any ways. For example, if you want to represent chlorine, then you put chlorine symbol, then its atomic number is 17 and its mass is 35. So you can represent the chlorine in this way. Now the next is isotopes, isobars and isotones. Now first I am taking isotopes. Atoms of same element having same atomic number but different mass number are called isotopes. For example, hydrogen have 3 isotopes: protium, deuterium and tritium. Protium is having 1H1 symbol, deuterium 1H2 and tritium 1H3. Atomic number is same, that is 1, 1 and 1. But mass number is different, that is protium is having mass 1, deuterium is having mass 2 and tritium is having mass 3. Now number of protons in protium is 1, in deuterium is 1 and in tritium it is 1, because atomic number is same, so the number of protons should be same. So actually isotopes are differ in the number of neutrons. So in protium there is no neutron, in deuterium there is 1 neutron, and in tritium there is 2 neutron. So remember one thing, protium is the only element in which there is no neutron present. Now the percentage abundance of these isotopes in nature, that 99.9% is protium, 0.016% is deuterium, and 10 raised to power minus 15 is tritium. Now these are the representation of protium, deuterium and tritium. They are different in the number of neutrons only. Other example of isotope is 35Cl17 and 37Cl17. Both isotopes have an atomic number 17, that is same atomic number, but the mass number of first isotope is 35 and the second isotope is 37. Now the next is isobars. Isobars are the atoms of different elements having different atomic numbers but same mass number. For example, argon and calcium. Argon is having atomic number 18, calcium is having atomic number 20, but both are having similar mass, that is 40. Now the next is isotones. Isotones are the atoms of different elements contain same number of neutrons. Their atomic number is different, their mass number is different, only similarity is that the number of neutrons. For example, 14C6, 15N7 and 16O8. Here the atomic number is different, 6, 7 and 8. Elements are different, carbon, nitrogen and oxygen. Their masses are also different, 14, 15 and 16. But they all have similar neutron. That is, the number of neutron is 8 in all. Now the next is question based on the module. You can practice the NCERT question example 2.1, 2.2. NCERT exercise backside question from 2.1 to 2.4, then 2.35 to 2.44. These questions are related to this part of the chapter, so please solve them. Thank you. Hope you like the video. If you find it useful, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for the upcoming parts of this chapter. Thank you.